Good. Okay. So they'll listen to the recording and then kind of ask questions. So I wanted to I wanted to start with kind of wins and then struggles. And I want us to spend a little bit of time. Today, we're going to focus on content creation. And I think that that's a big thing where a lot of people are like, I'm still not sure what to post. So I want us to spend kind of the second half talking about content creation. And because doing multiple screens, I'm going to try to make sure I see who's coming in. So the first thing, so I told you the first half, I want to talk about kind of wins, struggles, kind of what went well last week. What are you struggling with that we can either talk as a group or maybe kind of figure out how I can meet you or Pandora can meet with you and kind of help you through that. So, Gabby, since I see you on screen, will you go ahead and tell me kind of how the week went, and then kind of tell me something you're struggling with.
Okay, so I was able to move through some of the modules, complete the up to where it talks about the chat, the
Okay.
50 plus prop.
Okay.
My struggle with that was like where it says like talk about your success stories since like I'm new, so like I wouldn't know like what I don't have any case studies or success stories to post. So
Okay.
um but I did put some of it into Chat GPT and it gave me some like stories and I was able to come up my own stories from like past experience that I do want to write about. Um Now I just have to take like photos of myself to
Okay.
post with my personal story.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I have some ideas. I already wrote down some stuff in terms of success stories, and I will share with you. Vivian, thank you for coming on camera. Tell me kind of some of your wins and stuff that you had questions. So toss it here and then we can answer it.
So my wins, I think I had planned a vacation, so I'm actually on vacation right now, but I wanted to really get the posts going, so I pre-planned all my posts for the next
Mhm.
2 weeks. So which is good. And then I'm looking at my impressions now that you showed me how to do it,
Okay.
and I don't know what's good impressions, but it did say that I have 103% up
Good.
versus prior 7 days. So I think that's good. In terms of total impressions, I'm at 3,834.
Okay.
So I don't know what is my reference point in terms of is this good, is this bad? It's definitely progress. So I think that's good. So I'm glad about that. I have started thinking about what to post over the next couple weeks, but I'm a little bit concerned that the information may be repetitive,
Okay.
in terms of following the five strategies, the 5 ways. But maybe that's not a bad thing because I think on social media, a lot of it is repetitive anyway, right? And so maybe it's just I have to formulate it in a different way or something like that. But I think it is gonna be repetitive. So that's number one. Number two is I'm still trying to craft who the avatar is, and I think I have to give myself some time to really figure out
Okay.
who is my avatar. Um, I haven't advanced that much. I've done module one. I
Okay.
haven't done module two, which is about the bio and the profile and all that stuff. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I have stuff. I was also thinking about you, and I have stuff, kind of have stuff to share. And when we finished kind of talking to everyone, I'll go through what I'm thinking based on kind of struggles. And then if anybody else has something that they want to share, please feel free. Cedric, are you at a good spot to talk?
Yes.
Okay, great. So successes, struggles, how can we help?
Um, so successes, I have none.
Okay.
Um, So struggles, it's more so me like finding the time to go through the modules.
Okay.
And not necessarily find the time, making the time to go through them. So
Are you posting at all?
I'm not, no,
Okay.
no. I had for I earlier this year I posted a few times. I was more active in 2025
Okay.
than I have been in 2026. I've just been kind of more so in game mode of finding deals, going, doing deals
Yeah,
than necessarily posting.
got it.
But I joined this group, this mastermind for that added bonus of trying to, find the right way to do it.
Okay.
And so, long
Okay.
story short, I'm gonna make it happen.
We'll
I
chat.
have to
Don't
make it
worry.
happen.
We'll chat.
Okay.
And I'm so happy to see your face because we were like, where's Cedric? We haven't heard from you. So I'm happy that you're here. So just kind of real quickly, I'll start. And I love this because it's truly like all really, really new people. And our old people have been going for a while and sometimes they get busy. So Gabby, for success stories, and I took some notes, right? So stuff like stuff like how you started, how you started the mentorship, right? And how you're building, right? You could talk about that. You could talk about like your first webinar targeted to nurses, right? And how you wanted them to learn. So you could talk about that, right? A case study, sometimes, especially as you're in a mentorship, right? And I don't know much about it, but you can latch on to the successes of the people that are in, the people that are running it, right? So you can be like, look at a case study of one of my mentors who went through a whole deal, right? And this is what they did. So you can borrow credibility until you have credibility, right? That's how I would start as you think about doing what you're doing. So I think for you, right, you can use someone else, you can use one of my case studies, right? You can use an old deal of mine, you can use a new deal that I'm doing. Like it doesn't matter, right? But and you give them credit. I'll tell you this, right? For a while, right? We were kind of stalling with posts. Like we're like, okay, when our impressions are not growing as much. And so we looked for people whose stories were really good. And we were like, we'll give them credit and we'll talk about their stories, right? And so you don't have to, everything doesn't have to come from you, right? Like LinkedIn is so big. You can like attach on to people who are successful, right? Who have done the thing. And you're like, look at what they did. This is what I'm building. I had my first webinar, and you can even talk about your first webinar and say how it went, what you were gonna teach, who showed up, who didn't, right? And you could be vulnerable, you can be honest about that. So I would say kind of with the struggles of I'm not sure what to post, and I have some detailed notes on like really posting. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Viv, good job on hitting the ground running, right? So your impressions, right? You can't compare your impressions to my impressions, right? Because I've been doing this for longer, but you can compare your impressions to how you're doing, right? So you've increased by 100%, 103%, which is wonderful, right? Now start looking at those numbers. So I would say like, see how you're doing. What helps impressions is engagement. So even if you're on vacation, right, I still want you to just engage, whether you're sitting on the beach, like looking out in the sun or whatever, enjoying yourself, just quickly as you post, I want you to engage because the engagement is going to push the impressions and start. And I know that I don't know if Pandora told you, but start like putting your post in the chat and everybody who has time and access will go and comment on your post. So if you're not doing that, please be doing that. And like for sure, you'll see, I'll comment on it. Like people who are active on LinkedIn will also comment on it. So then that will boost your post. So as soon as you post, if you schedule it right, you got to tell us when you schedule it because within the first 30 minutes of the post going out, you want the maximum number of engagement on those posts, on that post, specifically on that day. So as soon as you do it, just put it out there. We'll get to it. And everybody will do that. So the idea of repetitive, right? We have stories that are cool, right? Our stories are incredible and they're cool. But think about me. I've been posting for the last 3 years, right? There's only so much I can say. So what you said makes a lot of sense, which is use a different angle to talk about the same thing. for a while we were doing like on Mondays, we had this like 9 to 5 series that we're doing on Monday. And it's like, okay, my 9 to 5, how am I building my 5 to 9? How am I building my business, right? And we just use different angles and different stories. You're gonna say the same thing. You will be saying the same thing, but you can definitely change it up. You can turn it into stories, you can turn it into teaching, you can turn it into case studies, you can turn it, there's so much you can play around with it. So don't limit yourself to the 5 types of posts. And also, right? If you spend time and you start creating pillars, and I'm going to talk about pillars, right? If your pillars are a little different, right? Like, so we have, like, my pillars are like, one of them is 9 to 5. Another one is my like background story of being, a Nigerian woman coming into healthcare and trying to build a business, in real estate, right? Another one of my pillars is just truly real estate. So I have like those different pillars. And so inside of them, right? Sorry about that. Let me let me focus my phone. So inside of that, right, then I start using those stories. So that's kind of what I would do. That's how I would think. But please don't think it's repetitive, right? You're gonna like, if your niche is your niche, you're gonna talk about your niche. And it's gonna be like, I expect you to talk about GI stuff every day, right? And that's not like, that's who you are. That's what you're doing. Now you can change that up and talk about like what you want to do with like profession, like getting it out to different professional groups. Like I wrote down like your strategy on, I think I took notes on like expanding your professional reach. So thinking about like talking about GI on the continent, talking about GI here, right? Like talking about even speaking on stage at GI conference, whatever it is. So all of that is still that, but it's crafting your story. So that's how I would think about it, right? The who is my avatar? That is gonna come. And I can't say that other than as you start building that platform, right? You're gonna figure out like who's coming on your page. You're gonna figure out who you want to reach. And you're gonna figure out, okay, what am I trying? What's my goal? Like, what do I want to achieve? And I think from that, right, you will be able to create, like you'll be able to work backwards and create your avatar, right? So sometimes it doesn't come at the beginning and then you push out, right? It could be kind of like posting, engaging, and you're like, wait, these are not the actual people on my post, right? It's these kind of people. So then you might be able to change that. So I hope that's helpful. But that's my thought right now. Continue to post. You have to engage in order to increase your impressions, right? Keep posting, but keep engaging as well. We will engage for you as well. But with the repetition, it's okay. Like just do it, to talk about it in a different light, add more storytelling to it, and I think you're fine. Cedric, so, you know, um, I'm gonna be a little harsh because I can. So, you paid for this, right? I want to give you value. Start doing it, right? If you need help from me, whatever that looks like, I want this to be beneficial for you. And I understand that like you're going after deals. I get it, right? Start small. Even start like the deals that you're talking about, write about it, right? Or like talk about it, talk about the process, talk about like how you vet the deal, you find the deal, and then talk about your podcast, right? Do you know how many people you would get on your podcast if you just started doing this, right? So if you need like one-on-one and you're like, okay, I'm kind of struggling with direction on where to go, like reach out to me. I will gladly meet. Pandora's an expert. She'll help you. We can work together. But I want this to be beneficial for you, right? And truly, you will see a difference, but you got to put in the work. And it's consistency. I keep saying that, and I will forever be saying that, right? If you don't show up, right? Like LinkedIn has been super beneficial for me. I've seen tremendous success, and we are in the same field, right? So it can be very successful for you too, but you just have to do the work. And I don't think it's find the deal or post on LinkedIn. I think it's both of them, and I think you could be successful. So any help that I can give you, I want to. Let me know how we can meet you and where you want to start. But I say start, and then go from there. So I hope this was helpful. But the goal in the beginning of these is to just come and like be like, okay, I need to figure this thing out. What am I not doing? What am I doing? Like simple stuff, right? That's the first part of it. Every month, I'm gonna go through something, right? Whether it's profile optimization, content creation, getting into people's DMs. I'm gonna pick something and then go deep into it because I think that's also important to how you do this. So, um, Cedric, I still think this is important for you because when you start writing content, you're gonna need the help, right? You're gonna be like, okay, because it's a lot of content. If you commit, let's say you commit to 3 days a week, it's still a lot of content. If you commit to 5 days a week, it's still a lot of content that you have to be thinking about and creating. So I want to kind of talk briefly about, oh, like in the next like 20 minutes as to why content is like the engine growth of LinkedIn. Posting consistently matters. And the reason why is that it will build trust before you have a first conversation. You know how you follow people online and then you meet them in person and you're like, I feel like I know you, right? But they're like, You don't know me, but it's like, I feel like I know you, right? It's because you've been reading, it's because you've been following them. So when you start doing it and doing it consistently, right, it's going to build trust before the conversation. And also, because you're visible, right? It is going to give you an edge of credibility even before you actually start being credible, right? So, like for Gabby, for instance, where Gabby's like, I'm new, I'm a new nurse, I'm talking to nurses about deals, and you haven't even closed the deal, right? But you are showing up and you are consistent, right? So, even before you bring them a deal, right? They're like, oh, Gabby's my expert nurse who does real estate, who I want to go to, right? So, but if you don't talk about it, they'll never know, right? That's kind of the idea behind like visibility versus credibility. You have to be visible, and that visibility will give you an edge of credibility, right? So yes, some people are doing it and they're credible, but when you now add the layer of visibility on LinkedIn by posting, right, it makes such a big difference. And I would say the role of content in attracting opportunities is I want you to think about it from a long-term mindset, right? So Viv, you're like, okay, I'm already posting 2 weeks. What do my impressions mean, right? I want you to think about it long term, right? I want you to think my goal right now is to build consistency, credibility, and visibility, right? Your goal is not to like have someone reach out to you to speak, right? That will come. But you want to have almost like you almost want to have like a Rolodex of stuff, right? That when they look at you, when they look at your profile, when they look at your content, right? They'll be like, oh, she's the person, right? Because I've been posting, right? Because I've been showing up consistently, right? You're building that, you build a followership, right? You build a community. And all of that is speaking for you without you even saying a word. So that's like the importance of why content is such a like critical part of LinkedIn, right? The profile is one thing, and you got to optimize your profile, but you also have to build it, right? People will connect with your profile. They'll be like, oh, she's interesting, but they're gonna follow and trust you because of the content that you're putting out. So I talked and I kind of, for those of you who have done some of the modules, right, I talk about the 5 content types: storytelling, educational, authority building, right? And in that, right, when you're doing all of that, right, educational, I said that already, but when you're doing all of that, right, you're building your personal brand, right? This is the easiest way. So let me tell you guys one thing. When people search for you, right? When you build your LinkedIn and you start building when you start being consistent, you start posting, your engagement goes up. When people first Google you, right? The first thing that will pop up is your LinkedIn profile. And so you can curate what you want them to see about you, right? Like that's the first thing. It's not your website. It's not if you put your name right now, right? The first thing we'll do will be a bunch of LinkedIn posts about you when you start posting on LinkedIn. So it's like it's the posts that do the best, right? People will learn about you. And then when Google, because of like Meta and LinkedIn, right? It will also, you know how that AI story, a lot of it will come from LinkedIn. So this is how you like help it by feeding it what you want to feed it. So I think that that's really big. And I want to talk about kind of authority building content because I think that's really important. And Gabby, I know as you're like, okay, I'm not sure, I haven't built authority, right? I want you to share your expertise, but share everything that you're doing, right? You don't have to like have closed the deal. You don't have to have raised capital, right? But share what you're doing. So like anything that you do at all, the webinar, like I said, even the mastermind, right? A meeting that you guys had, an insight, right? Share it. But when you start sharing expertise, like, and Cedric, you have a lot of that, right? Like if you just built LinkedIn and just said, this is how I find deals, right? This is like my thing, right? You become that expert acquisition guy, right? That will speak for itself. Like that is authority building, and you can create your entire profile around your entire persona around that, right? So again, I think you're just busy. I don't think it's that you don't have anything to say. I think it's you're just busy. But and then Viv, like I think for you, right, as you figure out like how you want to go, I think teaching lessons from experience will be helpful for you, right? Like kind of like thinking of you like more as like physician, educator, right? What you've done, and then expand that. What that'll do is it'll bring patients who are like, oh, what's she talking about? Like, and then the people that you want, the stages you want to get on, right? Kind of building out your personal brand outside of just what you do in the hospital, I think that will help you. So I'm just and again, I talked about insights. Like if there's anything that you're like, oh, I'm an expert in this. Oh, I need to teach and share this, right? All of this is building your authority. I talked about like any cool data, you can turn data into a picture, right? If any of you go to conferences, talk about it. Like you need to talk about any single type of conference that you go to. Use that as a thought leader and write about that, right? You see, and for me, the posts that I do on conferences do so well, right? It looks like it'll get me like 5,000 impressions. And it will get me more, and it's just like, hey, I went here, I learned this, I talked about this, right? This is part of, I'm going there to learn, I'm going there to teach, I'm going there to tell them about real estate, so all of that stuff, right? But talk about that. If there are any cool frameworks that you're learning, right? Or that you've learned, bring it. You can use it as a carousel post. You can change how you post. You can do video, you can do one picture, you can do carousel, you can do a bunch of stuff, right? And in the beginning, right, don't make it too complicated. At some point, right, we could talk about like hiring someone like an assistant to help you take this to the next level. But I think in order for you to teach them, you have to know it really well and you have to understand it. And if any of you have like, you hired someone, give them access to the course as well. Like let them learn so that like then they can use that to help you. Because at the end of the day, you winning is all that matters and you have access to it. So that's what I would think about like when you're thinking about being an authority, but it's a ton of industry lessons. Don't make it too jargon. Think about how, because you also want, they're scrolling and scrolling. So what will make them stop to read yours, right? I think that's the big thing that you have to step-by-step guide is so important. Video is also really big on LinkedIn, right? I watched a woman talk about like how she made money through real estate. I watch a lot of real estate videos, how she made money through real estate and how she quit her 9 to 5 and she's traveling the world, right? I paused because I was like, ooh, right, this resonates with me. And she's telling the story and she has a huge following, right? And she has people that are pausing to listen to that because they want the same thing, right? I saw myself in her and I'm like, I want that. So when you do videos, come from it from the perspective of your avatar, right? The person you want to listen, the person you want to click like, the person you want to comment, the person who you want to say, oh, come join my podcast, or come speak on my stage, or I'd like to partner with you, or I want to invest with you, right? Talk to them from their pain point. That's very, very important. And so we talk about storytelling all the time. I think it's people want to see themselves in your stories. Like if you did it, they can too. Stories will outperform facts any day. But there's some things, it's important to build authority, and some of that authority comes with like just facts. But please don't forget to add storytelling in that, right? A compelling LinkedIn story will skyrocket your growth, right? And then you can tell them all the other things you want to tell them, right? Because when the story is relatable, right? Again, they see themselves in you and they're like, well, if she did it, if he did it, I can as well, right? Always end with a call to action, right? So it's like, come follow me as follow me on my way to getting 1,000 nurses to invest in real estate, right? Or follow me to building, a national or international platform on whatever GI topic you want to talk about, right? Or that thing, right? But have a call to action, right? And have them have them buy into what you're doing. So every time you put a call to action, or it's like join my newsletter or join my community, right? If you're interested in stuff like this, join my community. So I think a call to action is always important. So I've gotten questions like, well, how do I tell a story, right? I think when you tell a story, it should be like the challenge, right? The thing that you were struggling with, and then your turning point, right? What changed? And then talk about the lesson that you learned from it, and then who you became, or the result that you got from it, right? When you tell a story that way, like people are like, okay, right, this happened, and then she did this, and then this is what she took away, and this is who she became, right? So when you tell stories from that perspective, it's really important, and um people hang on to that. Now, with the advent of AI, right, you can tell AI, help me. This is who I am. This is what I'm building. This is what I want to do. Help me craft the story. Tell them the story and say, help me craft the story. Make me human-like. I don't want to sound robotic, so take that away. And I want, like, write me a story that will get me 1,000 impressions, right, at the end of it, right? So like let it think about how you want it to, like how you want it to frame that conversation is very important. And then, and then also ask about hooks. You want, no matter what the story is, it doesn't matter, right? You want them to stop. And so the hook is also very important, right? How you make them, the hook is just that first line, right? You could say, like, I remember driving home at 2 a.m. and I knew I wanted to quit my job. Anybody who's stopping there will be like, oh, what happened at 2 a.m.? Did you quit your job? And then they'll open and you can talk about whatever you want, right? But let it be something relating to that, right? But that hook is so important. Start with bold statements. Like, even if it's semi-true, make it bold, and then tell them the real story underneath, and then the call to action. But what you do with that hook is that you create curiosity, and you can have AI help you with your hook, right? You don't always have to get the hook right. I don't always get the hook. Sometimes I'm just tired and I'm like, I can think of anything. And if AI gives me 10 hooks and I don't like any of them, I'll just press enter and be like, okay, today at least I was consistent and I posted. And so that is another thing that, like, I wanted to make sure as you're thinking about content, right? I'm thinking about like the biggest things. Now, with content planning, right? This is important. Like, again, I talked about the pillars. Figure out the things you want to talk about, right? You can talk about medicine, you can talk about entrepreneurship, you can talk about building a platform, you can talk about being a woman in this, right? Whatever it is, right? Figure out the pillars that you want to keep talking about, and then build on that. Decide as you start, it's going to be harder, right? I used to do, because of just how my schedule was, I used to try to write most of my content on Sunday evening or on Monday morning. And I did that because, like, it would just force me to sit down and write. And so so, like, if you're just starting out, write one, write two, write something. If you do a whole week, right? Write it out, right? And you can have skeletons, but if you're just like, listen, I don't want this to take up my whole week, right? I just want to do it one time and be done, then you can do that. For me, I found that scheduling my posts, I didn't like scheduling my posts because it made me lazy about me personally, about going to engage. And engaging is part of building is part of increasing your impressions, because LinkedIn is a go-giver platform. So the more you engage with others, the more it more pushes your content. It pushes your content first to your circle. So the people that you're connected to, your connection. And when your connections react to the post and they react positively to it, then it pushes it out to the world. That's how your impressions get bigger. That's why we want to connect with each other and we want to help each other boost that, right? But that's how it starts. But before it pushes it out, even out to your first degree connections, you have to engage with other people. So that's kind of when you're thinking about, so even if you do 2 posts, right, just spend a little bit of time engaging and build that out. So I think kind of my goal here in talking about content, right? And I'm going to open it up for questions, but And then we can go back to like, if there's anything struggle, if you want me to pull up like my LinkedIn or someone else's LinkedIn, I can. If we want to talk through that, we can. But think when you think about like planning, right? When you think about, okay, I need to plan, right? Think about the best way to get the best result. What do you need to do? And how do you need to accomplish that? So I think that's the biggest thing. Now, it's going to be different for different people, right? But I want you to kind of, as an assignment, right? I think I've given everybody ideas to what they can post in the upcoming week, but I would say maybe think about posting. If you post 5 days a week, think about posting a story. Think about posting two authority kind of building posts. So that could be educational, and that could be like a um, also like behind the scenes. So like, okay, this is what I'm doing to build this, or this is what I'm thinking about starting, or this is something new that came out in my industry. Let's talk about it. Or I'm growing this, follow me along the journey, right? So I would say, and so try that, right? And then pick like one vulnerable post and post. It will make you more human, but it will also boost your authority. So I would say start with that, and see how you do this week. And then another thing that I found very helpful when I was starting out is I picked people in my industry that I thought were doing really well, and I always posted on their post no matter what. So like if it's like if I wanted to be in front of CEOs, if I wanted to be in front of people who had money, if I wanted to be, so a lot of the people I targeted on LinkedIn, I still target on LinkedIn, are physicians, right? Because that's like one of my big avatars. I would always go and engage on their stories, on their post. Like whatever they talked about, like even if I didn't care, honestly, I would just be like, okay. And when I didn't have anything to say, like when my brain was fried, I would take like 3 lines from their post and I would just put it on ChatGPT. And I was like, give me a good comment that makes me sound educated, that makes me sound smart, but that is also that doesn't make me sound too smart, right? So then, and I would put that and I would get a result and I would post it, right? I was just always finding ways to make my life easy. And then, okay, so Viv, this is for you, right? I did this earlier on, right? I had a Word document, and you can use Excel, you can use something, but it was my content tracker. So every content that I created went in this Word document, right? And it was just like date, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it would be content. Now I did this because when I didn't have anything to say, right, I would take like 3 or 4 pages of my content and I would post it into ChatGPT. And I used to use ChatGPT a lot when I started LinkedIn, and now I've moved more to Claude. But when I would just do that, I would take the post and then I would put it. And also when you start posting and you maybe have a viral post or two, or you have posts that do really well, I would take that post, right? And I would save it somewhere. And the more you have of that, right, then I can go back again to AI and say, these are my top 10 performing posts. Help me collect the key themes from them and help me use that to create my pillars and my post bank, right? So I did that as well. And what that helped is just it gave me more ideas and then it helped me get more viral posts, right? And it's not about virality, but what virality does is that it gets more people to want to join, to want to connect with you. And then because they're connected with you, they get to see your post. So that's the whole reason about like having more people, more impressions, more people see your post. It's because you can then connect with them, right? And then you can share your stuff with them. And it's easier to get one-on-one conversations with the people that you're already connected with. So you are also thinking about when you start thinking about DM strategy, right? Starting to get into their DMs, right? It's so much easier if these people have been following you, right? They're more likely to answer you and not think you're like another crazy, marketer who's coming to ask them for something, because I get a lot of those, and I know you guys all get a lot of those, right? But this is what makes us different because we're now human. We've been posting, we connected with them and went from there. So that's how I would think about, so that's the big idea behind content creation. When you break it down, when you make it easy and break it down. And I want to say one last thing, right? As you're starting, you're going to follow this to a T. But then as you go, as you start building and you start growing, you will start tweaking it to match who you are, what you want to talk about, and then you're going to match it to what you're seeing is working for you, right? So if you're like, okay, man, people love my authority post, right? They really like when I break down frameworks, or they love when I do carousel, or like video really works when I teach them something through a video, right? And like Cedric, I feel like when you're looking for deals, like I feel like you can just turn on your camera and just be like, this is what I'm doing. And people want to see that. People want to learn that, learn from that. So that's how I'm going to be thinking about like content for you guys as you're starting out. But this is important. If you don't build this, right, they're not going to know you. And everything else that you want to use LinkedIn to build will not be successful because they're just not going to know you, right? So building out your profile, building out your content, right? And starting to post and engage is probably the biggest thing. And it's something that I have not stopped doing, right? Something that I still do till today, right? I experimented. I'll tell you what I did, right? I experimented with 2 posts a day for the last 3 weeks. It didn't work out as well. Like it was just too much. Like people are like, okay. So then I was overdoing it, and right, and I decreased back down to 1 post a day. So I'm always still learning and tweaking, and my goal is to bring it to you guys to learn, right? But start with the basics. I want everyone to try to at least commit to 3 posts a week. And again, use AI to help you. If you're doing 5, great. But try to do 3 and build on that. But I think you'll see result when you start doing that. So I'm gonna open up for like if you need help with content ideas, if you have questions about like storytelling, if you're like, I don't know what to write about, like I can help give you feedback. The people on the call can help you give you feedback. And in circle, right? If you just put that, like everybody else will respond as well. If you're thinking, okay, I need help with like structuring my content, posting, I want to open it up for questions. The last 15 minutes, which was my goal, is to open it up for questions and kind of like let people figure out what they're struggling with or from a content standpoint. Go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, so my questions are super basic. So best time to post and post it in the circle so that everybody, because
Great.
I want to make sure everyone's available to
So
go
they won't all
put a
be
comment.
available. They won't all be available, but I would say post it. So the best time, this is a good question, and it's simple questions are not bad. So the best time to post is morning now because it's when normal people are awake and are like doing stuff before they get to work. So the best time to post is like 8 a.m. So it's like
Yeah.
7:30 CST. So like 8 EST. So anywhere from 7 CST to like 8:30 CST. Those are great
Okay.
times to post. So that's 8 to like 9:30 EST. People are on their
Okay.
way to work. They're just getting to work. And most people, right? Most people don't work on our schedule. They work on normal 9 to 5 schedule. So those are truly the best times to post. You get the most engagement, the most people on LinkedIn at that time. Engagement will drop by like 10, 11. Maybe
Okay.
some will come back up at noon for their lunch break, and then you get a small burst in the evening after work. But mornings, like the most active time on LinkedIn is in the morning. And then you get like it drops off significantly on the weekend. So if you still want to post, you
Okay.
can, but most people are like, no, they're like, I'm done with LinkedIn for the weekend. So post around that time, and you'll get the most engagement online, and you'll get engagement in circle as well.
Okay. And should you comment on your own post or no?
Yes, absolutely.
You should. Like, so when you put it, then you put a little comment
Yes, yep.
for yourself.
If you look at my post, I think I put like 3 comments, and I probably put my link. So LinkedIn will kill. They don't want you to leave LinkedIn, right? So it will hurt your post if you put a link in the actual post itself.
Post. Okay.
You'll see me comment a link in the chat. You'll see me comment on my own post a link to something in
Uh-huh.
the chat. So you can always do that. And so you don't, so instead of putting the link in the actual post, put it in the chat and you can comment yes.
Okay. Okay.
And you can
Okay.
comment on your own post. Absolutely. I think I comment like 3 or 4 comments on my own post. And then
Okay.
they show up for up top. So that's more engagement.
Okay. And my last question is, you mentioned commenting on other people's
Yeah.
stuff, right? And writing something intelligent that,
Mhm.
whatever chat can help you with. But so that seems time consuming
It
for
is.
me
It
because you're
is.
going to have to do the research
It is.
about, who you really want to comment on and make sure you're not distracted going outside of your circle.
Okay, good. So let me tell you what you do, right? So I showed it. You're going to have to spend one Sunday. And you're going to have to spend one Sunday and you're going to pick all the people that you want to comment. So I'm going to share my screen and I want to show you guys something. So let me share my screen. Share.
Oh, so like you pick specific people to comment on and not just whatever, or
Okay, so
people that
you
connected to
guys,
them.
hold on one second. Gabby, do you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go to my name, and I'll be vulnerable and I'll share if anything you want on my LinkedIn, I'll share it with you. So when you click on my name, right, you can click on, actually I'll do someone else. Let me do let's look for, okay, great. Let me see somebody these are people who I've searched recently. I don't know. Let's try Carmelita. I think she posted. So now I look at her stuff, right? And I look at her activity, right? I see all her posts. So I click show all, right? Now, so now this is all her activity, right? You saw she posted 6 days ago, she posted a week ago. This this LinkedIn, like this URL, you are going to copy it, right? Now, you never have to search for comments. So Vivian, you're gonna have like an Excel or Word document, right? I'm gonna go back and do it one more time. So you click on the person's name, right? And then this is their profile. You scroll down to activity. Inside of activity, you're going to see post. And right underneath that, you're going to see show all. Now, this is all their posts. So now I'm going to take this URL, I'm going to save that somewhere. Do that for like the 10 people that you want to engage with them. So you're not searching for them every day. You're not sifting through your For You page to look for them. You just literally go straight to that and it'll show you their post and then you just comment on it. So spend the time in the beginning to do the work, right? And so on the back end, it's easier. But honestly, I would say spend 15 minutes commenting on these people's posts in the morning. It's worth it. It's going to strategically push your post. So just do it. Spend a Sunday, pick the people you want to post, and those people they post every day, right? So that when you just come in that morning, you have a list of like 10, 15, whatever. You just click on all their links. You already have their links. It'll take you straight to their post. You comment, done, right? Make it mathematical in the beginning. And then as you go, like it'll feel a little bit more fluid.
Okay, sounds good. Thank
That
you.
makes sense.
Yeah, how many people do you have on your list, your Excel spreadsheet right now? 200?
The great question. No, I have like 50. But
Okay. Okay.
I don't do all of them I like
All the
spread them.
time.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
like so then it looks natural. So then I'll do like maybe 15 and then and then I'll do them on Wednesday, right? And then I'll do another list like 10, then I'll do those people on Friday so that it just feels like, oh, this person is like, I'm not like they don't know that I'm semi-stalking them, but they're just like, oh, this is someone interesting that's engaging with them. So yes, and then I trust me when they see you engage a few times, they'll be like, oh, and they might like now they'll respond to they'll respond to your post or your engagement, and then you start building something. And so eventually, when you take it to the DMs, right, you're not a stranger. Gabby, you were gonna say something.
Um, you have to like you were commenting on like
Let's say that again.
people.
Okay.
I didn't know like you had to make a list of people, choose specific people and make a list.
You don't have to, but it's just easier when you're going after a certain subset of people, right? So you're not just posting like, I don't like honestly, and this is not snobbish. Like if you're not my ideal avatar, right? I don't necessarily comment with you when it's like work, right? When it's work, I'm there to work and I want to get through my plan, right? I'm not using it really. It's it's work. It's the best way I can explain it. I don't want to tell you that like I come here and like have conversations with like just random people. No. If I'm here, it's to do work. So then if not, you can easily burn through an hour here. And it's like, what was this hour for? But if you're strategic about it, right, you're like, okay, these are the people I'm coming to post. The more work you do on the front end, the easier this process will be for you. And I don't want to overwhelm you, right? Just do what you can, right? If you come and you're like, I don't have those people, and you say, I'm just going to engage with the first 10 people on my page, that's fine too. Like on your For You page, right? Or I don't know what it's called here, but like, yeah, on like your front page, right? If you just say like, I'm gonna interact with Daryl. After that, I'm gonna interact with AJ. Like if you just pick 10 people, right? At least that's a start. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
I have one question about the commenting on other people's page. So I understand individuals. Is there a benefit in commenting on groups and associations like
Okay.
Society for Women and this and Realtors Association
If
of
they're
whatever? Is there
active,
benefit?
it's
Hmm?
it if the group is active, if the group is
Okay.
it's very active. If not, and I find that Facebook groups are stronger than LinkedIn groups.
Okay.
So I haven't found, honestly, we have toyed around with LinkedIn groups and we've tried. It's just not active. People are just not, and I also wouldn't spend time on people's business page. The idea of a business
Mhm.
page is just to like, it's to again build authority and credibility. Don't waste your time. But yes, you can, if there's a group that is like, if you are part of a group that's super active on LinkedIn, by all means comment. I just haven't found that yet.
Mm.
Like, you know how Facebook
Okay.
groups are very active and these people are commenting and people are responding. It's not like that on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Okay. Cedric, how's all of this? Are you taking it in? How are you feeling?
Oh, yes, I'm taking it in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's no problem. I mean, I made plenty of notes.
Okay, good.
Now I just have to get into the content of the course and just start going through that. And I'll figure starting out kind of like you were saying, I'll start out with maybe about posting about
I
three
agree.
times a day.
I agree.
I did like what you just told Vivian because she kind of asked my question that I was going to ask in a way um, about like doing it in a spreadsheet or Word doc or whatever the 10 people or whatever amount of people that I
Mhm.
want to comment on a daily basis. That way I don't have to
Keep searching
search
for
and
them. Yep.
all of this other stuff. So that kind of makes it easier because what I found previously is I was kind of like just random commenting, like scrolling. Okay, that looks good. I mean, that comment, their post looks good. Read the post. All right, then I make a comment. Keep scrolling. Okay, this makes, doing that took a lot of time.
Yeah.
It took a lot of time. Where if I'm focused on a certain amount of people that fits my avatar or, that I would like to get to know and things like that, it just makes it easier for
Got it.
me.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, good. Any other questions? No questions. And even if it's simple stuff, right? Everybody's learning. So please ask any questions, if you have any. Okay. So
This was super helpful. Thank
okay,
you.
good, good. You're welcome. I'm glad. Like it's the small things that you just don't know that you're like, okay, how can I get insight on it? But like, I want to tell you guys that like your knowledge makes you valuable, but the stories that you tell and how you craft it and how you create content is what makes you memorable. And that's what people want to see. Every single experience, every Viv, you said, like you might be repetitive, like every single experience. Now I'm like going about my day and I'm like, oh, this is content, right? Like I'll just pick up my phone and I'll just be like, write it. Like you could create something from it, right? But every single experience now is like content that educates, that will inspire people, that will build trust, right? That's how you have to start thinking about it, right? So don't wait. Please don't wait for the perfect time to post. Don't feel like you have it all figured out, right? Just continue to share. And then as you go, right, your voice is going to become your greatest asset, and you're going to be able to start like drafting the story, creating the story, and pushing it out. But I think then that is going to, I say this even to my team, right? When we start putting out, I tell them volume, right? So start putting out a ton of content. That's going to create credibility, and that credibility is going to create authority. And that's how you're going to grow, right? So that's how I think about this. And I do the same thing that I'm telling you guys. So as you continue to show up, right? As you continue to create, as you continue to post, that end goal of like, getting investors, of building a platform, of becoming an international speaker, of whatever it is, right? Of building out your practice, of growing in deal size, like all of that will happen, but you have to start and be consistent. So that's all we have for today. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Like if there's something you're struggling with, text me. Everybody has my cell phone number. Text me, and then we could take it from there. I think Cedric, I'm pretty sure I gave you my cell phone number as well. So like if you need anything, please feel free. Feel like, hey, I'm not sure about this, or like, can I quickly run this past you? Just let me know, and I'm like happy to quickly like jump on a call, figure something out. If there's something in the course that you're not understanding, that our team is definitely available to help. Perfect. Okay, sweet. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you guys next month.
Thank you. Good
Okay, bye.
night.
Bye bye.